Hey y'all, AKC here, and today I am back with another review of Feedbacker by Boris. Now, if you know who Boris is, pretty understandable. I don't really know him until I, went on radio music. So Boris is actually this Japanese metal band, and they're often known for having like a pretty wide range of metal and sound. So you have ambient, drone metal, sludge metal, and noise metal. They have a lot of noise elements in their music too. They're a very Japanese band. Like the Japanese like to get down. They like to like experiment a lot more than over here. I feel like, not to say that over here doesn't experiment a lot, which we do, but they go on another level, and this is just an example of that. And just to tell you real quick, let's go into the song, Feedbacker. So on Feedbacker, there's like these really long strings of guitars. The riffs like last like 10 seconds each. They're very dissonant, sparse, far away. Perfect opening for this album, considering what the songs are next. It's definitely like an opening. It's not supposed to be flashy. You're not supposed to recognize it, of course, because you probably didn't even know this band existed. But it's supposed to set you in the mood, put it in the post-apocalyptic world that is this album. Then we have Feedbacker. This one is also very good. 15-minute long track. But every minute of it sounds just incredible. Every strum of the guitar that he does, that I think is she, because there's a woman in the band, that they do. Is like so just it feels nostalgic. It feels it feels nostalgic. It feels introspective. It feels very relaxing. Like every time I hear one of those strums, I'm like I just get sent levitating. There's also drums coming on here. On the first one there were no drums at all. Drums come on here on this one, and it really adds to that song, to that slow build up. Then we actually get a part where another guitar comes in and she just shreds it. They shred the living heck out of the guitar for at least like I think like 4 7 at least like 5 minutes. There's just nothing much strumming. Then the vocals come in and it talks about like some post-apocalyptic kind of thing where like this city place whatever was burnt down and only the remnants remain and everything, and you're like, oh shoot, it's getting into it now. The guitars sound absolutely heavy on my ears. Then like you have part 3 where again the guitars, and you have part 3, or in other words Feedbacker. Then you have Feedbacker, which the guitars, they're just so again, they're so heavy. They're in your face. If like I said, I think I've said this one time to like I think my dad. Like it feels like you're trapped in a TV of static and noise, and it's incredible. It sounds epic. The vocalist does really well over these overbearing guitars. There's also some like jazz, a bit of jazz influence. The way how the drum cymbals kind of like fade into like Feedbacker after Feedbacker. It's really jazz like. That's like some jazz type thing, and I really like that. Like it has like tiny bit of jazz influence, and that's cool. But overall, it's a very good track. This one's way shorter than the first, than Feedbacker and Feedbacker. The Feedbacker was 9 minutes, and then Feedback was like 15 minutes. This one is 5. Next, it's more like 6 minutes. But still, it feels like it flies by like nothing. Very good pacing in this album. Then we go to part 4, which this part I don't like as much as the other ones, but is that really saying much though? Here we kind of just see like a more noise kind of direction. We go from Feedbacker into Feedbacker, and in Feedbacker there is these like just loud dissonant noise sounds just all around you. It really hurts your ears and everything. I think it drags out a little bit, but it definitely feels torturous. Torturous and also in your ears, but also just torturous in general. Yeah, I really like it. Then we go to Feedbacker, and then Feedbacker, man, it brings the elements from Feedbacker, and just absolutely just goes wild with them. And what I mean go wild with them is that they basically just take from Feedbacker, the strums and everything, and then they take the noise from Feedbacker and put it onto this one, and it sounds super cool because it's like wrapping up the whole album, and that's like such a good way to do it. The way I see this album, it's like kind of like a story. It's like kind of a story. You have Feedbacker, which kind of sets the mood, the tone. Then you have Feedbacker, which is like the rising inclination of the story, the rising action, what also has a little bit of the climax in it. Same thing with Feedbacker, which is the climax, and then you have Feedback, which has a little bit of the climax from Feedbacker, and then kind of goes into the declining action, kind of like the aftermath of Feedbacker. Then we go to Feedbacker, and in Feedbacker it kind of wraps up like the themes of Feedbacker and Feedbacker, where it has the strums, the string guitars from Feedbacker, like I said, in the noise from Feedbacker, and it sounds really really nice. Also, if you're confused, all the songs are named Feedbacker. They have parts. So of course I'm gonna just say in parts. Like I said, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. All very good. Part 1 is the one with the long strums, very ambient, drony. Part 2 is the 15-minute track with the same strums. There's also these noises, like there's like this ringing that happens. There's like a ring of a bell that happens in part 1 that I really like, and then there's also like these weird kind of weird electronic kind of guitar noises, I think. In part 2, it sounds so good. And like I said, in part 3, that's the hard hitting, that's the climax where the guitars just go insane. And where the vocalist really just goes bug wild. Part 4 is the noise section, the declining action, the aftermath after the climax. And then part 5, like I said, is the conclusion. Overall, very good show of musicianship. This is so different from anything I've ever listened to before. And it just shows a story that I think words just can't, in my opinion. It truly is the entrance to hell. I'll give it a strong 9.5. Yeah, I think this kind of beats a Painkiller. I'm not even gonna lie, this kind of beats Painkiller for this year. But yeah, strong 9.5. Please go check it out.